Okay, let's try that. I've got to sit still. I've got my cam actually attached to my shirt, kind of stuck in my shirt, so that I can get this on the right angle. You may be able to tell, and also I hope my sound is good. I'm having trouble with my regular mic for some reason all of a sudden. As you can tell from yarn and scissors and pretty shiny hooks, I'm going to teach you how to crochet. Guys, don't be afraid to learn. I know other men who crochet. It's a knot tying art and perfectly manly. Now, I'm going to teach you just some really basics on this video. In the next video, I'll teach you how to make the plarn, and then the one after that, I'll teach you how to actually make something. Now, keep in mind, you can go for years without crocheting and forget more than you ever learned, and that's okay. And starting out fresh is okay. Because what you can do now with the wonderful world of YouTube is you can go on there and you can search something like double crochet, which is the name of a stitch. And probably Stitch Witch or some other people will have videos up that show you very clearly how to do it. And that has helped me more than anything in these projects because I had forgotten how to do some of these stitches. So, you guys know, I'm trying so hard to be quiet because I'm using the mic that's in my laptop. You guys know that I did this tote bag. This is my first plarn project. It's a tote bag. It ended up to be huge, which it was supposed to be, I guess. I just underestimated it. I'll put up a photo so you can see it a little better. There's my own little touch. Lean in for the close-up. Not focusing. Skull and crossbones button, and I put one on the other side. It doesn't button do anything, it's just decorative. Anyway, but that turned out really well. I'll still need to stick some of the little loose ends into it. But I'm lazy. When I get close enough that I'm done, I get all excited and I just start using something. But when I made it, I did this black stripe out of liquor store bags, but we didn't have enough, so I had to do a little bit with a garbage bag. And I kind of hated to do that because garbage bags are a completely different texture. Basically, there are two different kinds of bags, crunchy and gummy, and garbage bags are kind of gummy and they're not as strong. This is the off-brand kinds that we had. But it was okay for that little bit. And then I wanted black for my handle too, to the top of my strap. But I knew it wouldn't be strong, so I mixed yarn in with it, and it made it really cushy and thick and wonderful. So I then decided, gosh, that would make a great rug. I can't spread it all out here and show you, but, and again, I need to finish it. But I made this wonderful little rug that I think would be great to go in front of a sink. Really comfy to stand on. And it's all kind of sparkly and black and wonderful. So anyway, I thought some of you might want to be able to make things like that yourself. So we're going to do some basic crochet for beginners. We're going to do how to make the plarn, and then I'll do how to make the rug. And then I'll give you links later to patterns for the bags and little purses and coasters and things like that. Okay, what you're going to need: scissors. If you don't have scissors, use some fingernail clippers. You're going to need some kind of yarn. If you don't have yarn, you don't need to go out and buy it necessarily just to learn this. Go ask a neighbor or a friend or a mother or an auntie who's a crafter. Hey, you got some spare yarn hanging around. So it won't take much to learn this for this part of it. Now, I've actually learned something new recently. Crochet hooks come in many different shapes and sizes. They go by a millimeter, and I'm hoping that will focus, but I guess not. Crap. Well, anyway, they go by a letter and by a millimeter size. This is an I believe. It's a capital I, and it's a 5.5 millimeter. Usually, patterns will just call for the letter. That's much easier. This is my largest one. This is what I got to make the plarn projects with, and it is an N, as in Nancy. And you probably won't need anything that large. I sure wish it would autofocus. Oh well. For just doing this, you don't necessarily need anything that large, but if you're hoping to do the plarn projects, yeah, I guess go ahead and get a 9.
I think it'll be a little easier for you working just with a single strand of yarn, though, if you have something more like, what is this? This isn't F. You can buy packages that have several different sizes in them, or, you know, you get them for $1.50, $2. They're real cheap, and they last forever. I've never seen one break, or wear out, for that matter. You're more apt to lose them than to have them wear out. Alright, now you have your yarn and a crochet hook and your scissors. Now the way my mother and grandmothers always did it was we tie a knot, stick that crochet hook in, tighten it not real tight. There's a little bit of room there, a little room for the Holy Spirit. It used to tell us at dances and stuff in the Christian schools, leave enough room between you for the Holy Spirit. And then we tie it again and have a knot there, but really, that's a little cumbersome, I suppose. And I saw people on YouTube's doing like this. They'd wrap it around their finger and then wrap it a second time, but cross it. Just kind of hold it. Stick the needle in this one closest to your nail. Reach through. Grab that one. And then just kind of pull it like that. It makes sort of a slip knot. Don't ever pull it real tight on that first one or you'll have trouble. Alright, always leave enough of a tail that you can kind of grab it, and that's about 4 inches, I guess. 4 inches. Now, this part is the part that most people find the trickiest when you first start. You're going to wrap your yarn around your fingers, and it works like tension. If you've ever used a sewing machine, you know how you have to thread the thread all up around goofy things and in holes and around springs, and that holds the tension on the thread so it doesn't knot up or get too loose. So lay it in your hand like this. Go around the back of your pinky. And around. I can do it very quickly, but when I have to stop and think about it, yeah. Go around your pinky that way, and then around the back of your pointer finger that way. You're going to want this yarn that's on your pinky to be pretty close down. If you tend to have clammy hands, you might put just a little baby powder between your fingers, at least in these last two, so that can, so it'll be dry and that yarn can really move. And you may have to redo the tension there several times. You may have to take it off your hand and redo it, and that will become second nature just to do that. And Falcon learned it when he was here. Now the first thing you're going to learn to do, this is the first thing everybody learns to do, is to make a chain. You see we have a loop with our needle through it, well, our hook. Needles are for knitting, and hooks are for crocheting, okay? Now, remember that you have movement of these fingers and of your hands at the wrist. Don't get too stiff and just try to just move like that. You need to remember to be fluid and move everything. And I know my cam is a little bit jerky, I'm not sure why. But you're going to hold this knot, and you're going to do what's called a yarn over. There we go. You see? You go, put your hook behind that yarn. Depending on which way you think about it, the yarn's going over it or the hook is going behind it. And then you're going to pull that through the loop. See? And then you're going to do that again. I've made my loop a little tight there. Wiggle it and it loosens up. You want that hook to be able to slide through there pretty easily. Now, because of the way these hooks are built, it's the right size here, and then it gets more narrow down towards that crook. So if you let your yarn slip down in there and you're working really tight, it's going to tighten it up like a noose around the neck of that. And then it's going to make it almost impossible to push your hook back through there, and it's going to make your work look really tight and bunchy. So be sure and keep it a little loose. Keep it so that you can very freely move it up and down there, okay? And that's going to be one of your big challenges when you first start too, and that's okay, you'll learn. And every pattern you ever work in crochet will start out telling you how many to chain. So chain 28, chain 5. One of the things too that you're going to find is going to be confusing, and it's confusing for everyone unless you probably crochet constantly. But that's the patterns, because they use all these abbreviations. But again, I want you to remember that YouTube is your friend. And go on there, look up, don't say SLT, but type in And there's on patterns. There's always a little list that tells you what they mean, the abbreviations mean. That would be like slip stitch, SLT, or something like that, SLST, slip stitch. And go and look up slip stitch, and you will find a video on how to slip stitch. Okay, whatever your step is that you're supposed to do, don't just get frustrated with it. Go look it up on YouTube. So see, my chain is really nice and smooth and even and lovely because I've been doing this for a long time. Yours is going to be all craptastic, but keep doing it. By the time you make one that's maybe 3 feet, you'll have it. Okay? 2, 3 feet, depending on how crafty you are to begin with. Falcon made a chain. His looked terrible to begin with, and it was crazy to look at it because it gradually got better and better and better and better until he had perfected it. And that's as far as he went because he didn't really want to learn how to crochet. So that's your first step, is to chain. Now I'm going to do some more until I get a pretty long chain. As you work along, you don't have to hold that knot forever. You can hold it up closer to what you're doing, and that will make it easier. And as you work, your finger's going to get closer and closer to what you're doing because of that tension. When it gets up pretty close, just go ahead and pull your yarn through. Keep it down close to the bottom of your pinky finger. If you have it too loose like I have it now, that's not good either, and what I usually end up doing is just rethreading my fingers like that, rethreading my hand. Alright, as I'm crocheting along, I think I stuck my hook between the yarn. Like, yarn is made out of, sort of like, out of more yarn. It's made out of smaller strands of yarn, you see. And some is more, and somebody's going to correct me, I know, but I think it's worsted is how it's twisted together. And some is twisted together tighter than others, and also depending on what it's made of, it'll stick to itself or not stick to itself. So some's looser and some's tighter, and there are going to be moments when you are going to get your hook kind of stuck through the middle of the yarn, and that's going to mess you all up. Don't be afraid to just take your hook out and undo how much ever you need to undo. And take your hand and loosen up that last stitch. Get your hook in there, tighten it up like a little noose, and then go back to what you were doing. Okay, I don't know how many are in this. That's maybe 5.5, 6 inches long. That's about 6, I guess. Now, this looks like a series of, there we go, looks like a series of V shapes. And pretty much the top of your crochet piece will always appear to be a series of V shapes. So I may refer to them as V's as we go along. I didn't count it, so I don't know how many, but it's enough to teach you. Now, they're pretty basic stitches to crochet. There's a single crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, and then there are some other ones that I'm really not as familiar with. I had to learn a new one to do my tote project, and it was called a half double crochet, and it's a very simple stitch once I got it figured out. Now here, I'm going to try to lean in so you can see what I'm doing. Again, I'm going to get my thread all wound up in my fingers here. Now, because different stitches are different heights, like this next row is going to be a certain height, okay? That means that when I start a new row, which is what I'm about to do, I generally don't just start in this first stitch here, because that will make that stitch really short and bunched up and shorter than the rest. And the taller stitches, like a triple crochet, you would need to skip maybe 3, so that when you start it's going to be up like that. You'll see what I mean. And this one you skip 2, so we don't count what's already on the hook. That's not really a chain, but we count these V's. 1, 2, and then on the third one, that's where we're going to invade it. And it's okay, we just start over, yarn over, hang on to that, go in through the third. I think I've gone through 2 pieces of yarn somehow. I know you really can't see that.
yarn over and pull it through. I'm only going through one piece of yarn like this, okay? Now I have 3 on my hook. Now I yarn over, pull it through 2, and if it's hard to pull through, wiggle it and loosen it up. I'm going to go through 2, and I find it easiest to do it one at a time. 1, 2, oh, that's the first timing. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull it through both of those 2. Okay, after the phone interruption, I'm not sure if I'm going to edit that out or not. I have done 1 half double crochet. That's what it looks like. Let's do another one. Going to get my yarn ready on my hand. Going to yarn over my hook. I am going to go in the very next unoccupied space, and I do wish that would focus. There we go. You can see I put one in right there. So I'm going to go to the very next space. Yeah. Now I have 3. Oh, I wish it would stay in focus. I'm going to yarn over, pull it through 2, all the way please, and pull it through 2, yarn over, and if my instructions don't make sense, go to Stitch Witch. Go through, yarn over and pull that through, pull it through 1, 2, you have 2 on your hook, then pull that through 2, and we'll keep doing this all the way along. If you ever get to a point where it feels tight, and no matter how much you pull on it, it won't loosen up, and it just feels all constipated, just, oh, I dropped a little yarn there, there we go. Just pull that hook out and undo a few stitches and start it again. See how we're working along? Now as we work, let me do a few more here so I can show you. Let's see it better. Oh, dropping bits of yarn. And there I've hooked an extra one right there. So I'm going to just slip that over the top. There we go. Now I'll show you. I think you can tell by now. Each stitch has created a little post. You see? Each one is a little post. On the top there are those V's, which look just like our chain. I told you there'd be little V's at the top of all the rows, and that's what we've got there. Now I may tell you at some point, go between the posts or count out 5 posts, and that's what I mean. It's those little suckers. Now there are lots of other stitches. If you want just a basic overview of those, to go to Stitch Witch. I hope I'm getting her name right. That seems right. I will put a link over in the description, and you can go and check that out and see hers. And if you want to learn more stitches for more projects, there are tons and tons of free crochet patterns all over the web. You might go look for intermediate crochet patterns. Go to Lion Brand Yarns website. They have tons. There's just all kinds of stuff. And knitting is more refined, and it's smoother, really prettier. But crochet is so funky, and it's like modeling clay. There's so much you can do with it. You can really actually kind of build things with it. You can purposefully, when you get to know what you're doing, you can purposefully crochet shapes and maybe a flower, and then you put that on your bag that you've made. And it's more crafty, I guess. It's not as serious and sophisticated, but it is a lot of fun. And I've made hats that look really good. They don't look clunky and nasty. They're really nice little hats. And you can make scarves, and you can make little gauntlet glove things. I'm going to probably make myself one of those at some point. So there you go. Just follow that. And if you don't understand me, go check out the other tutorials. Look up half double crochet. And that ought to do it.